Hello, welcome back to the Barbecue Network. I hope everyone had a great Shabbat. This is a wonderful Torah portion this week, Shalach, which speaks of how they returned from Egypt, scouted out Israel, determined it was the land of milk and honey, and made their plan how they were going to overcome those who were occupying their land, and also survive through the desert and where they would go, etc. One of the more interesting ones as we come back from Bamidbar and a couple of the other recent portions, Bahut Talakfa, etc. So I hope everyone had a wonderful time. Maybe you checked out some of the Torah, maybe not. Hope you had a nice Shabbat either way. I'm discussing a movie of the first James Bond movie that actually starred Sean Connery, the one that was the first to be theatrically released. Having a lot of thunder and weather issues here today. So this movie is called Dr. No. I'd seen it years ago, but have never seen it on DVD, and learned quite a lot about the making of it from the commentary and also the documentary about the making of it. And it's just a fascinating story. The man who showed them around on the island ended up creating Island Records, which, Def Jam Island Records. He was one of the first people to record Bob Marley or popularize Bob Marley. Ken Adam had already done some work in films in Germany and in Europe, but his production design in James Bond, Dr. No, he would go on to create more production design for 5 more of the movies, really influenced the future of movies. Sean Connery wasn't exactly going to be the first choice, but then they decided on him, and then the director Terrence Young, who I'm really excited to see more of his movies, made one called Collision of Mirrors or something like that in the 40s, and some other movies that I'm interested to see. He stayed in close contact with all of his cast members, the people that he worked with. At his funeral, it was a venerable who's who of the people that he had worked with, because he went on to make Rollerball and From Russia with Love, I believe, as well. Just a really interesting man. They say that he added a lot of class to the James Bond character, and kind of helped Sean Connery to project the qualities that he projects on film, style. They styled the James Bond character using, the finest wardrobe they could find in the world, from Savile Row in London, other, Chinese or Japanese different items as well. What can I say? This movie is amazing. I mean, it doesn't jump around to multiple locations like future James Bond movies, and that's why they wanted to make it first, because it was, relatively simple. They just filmed some parts in England at the studios, some parts in England in general, and then also, a lot of exteriors and interior shots at the studios, but mainly in Jamaica as well. And it's just fascinating to see how they did everything. They have this man that plays one of the spies at the beginning that's killed, Strangles or something. Strangless is his name, something like that, and he was just like an airline pilot at the time there that Terrence Young had known. And then the woman that they cast to be the photographer that's kind of stalking James Bond, she had won Miss Jamaica, and she was an airline ticket lady. The lady that gets killed at her house, it was actually her house. Just great casting all around. Thought that the actor that played Quarrel was really... they didn't give him much to work with, but I thought he did an effective job, and it's kind of sad when he dies, actually. So anyway, basically James Bond goes to investigate what happens to this missing agent, and he goes to Jamaica and uncovers basically a plot where they're doing like a secret island where they're making nuclear weapons and trying to interfere with Cape Canaveral's space launch. And turns out this guy, Dr. No, of mixed descent of China and German missionary, was part of the Chinese mob, and then he took off all this money and started this crazy island, and he runs it like a prison, and he's basically lost his hands due to radioactive testing, so he's got these crazy looking gloves, or iron hands basically. I wish he would have fought with those hands. I wish he would have done more physical stuff, but he's just kind of a slow, intimidating talker type guy. And there's another woman in it that's really effective as well. He gets her arrested, but she's beautiful. And the Chinese people aren't really Chinese. They put things on their face to make them look that way. But like I reviewed with Enter the Sixth Happiness, this is kind of common in this era. And of course, this is the debut of Ursula Andress in a James Bond movie. She wouldn't go on to be in any other James Bond movies, but she's most iconic and most known for her emergence onto the beach. It's kind of dark out there. So anyway, it's a fantastic movie. So different than a lot of James Bond movies that jump around from location to location. The production design by Ken Adam really makes the movie. To think that he only had I think they said 20,000 pounds, which is like $30,000 to design all the sets. It's ludicrous. It's like a beautifully designed movie. And Terrence Young really stylistically directed, the way he reveals James Bond at the beginning, where you don't see his face for like a minute or two. Really a good job. Bond, James Bond, he does that line, of course. So many other classic lines in the movie, and I highly recommend it. I could go on and on about it. I might make another video discussing it more further if I do some more James Bond reviews. But I think probably For Your Eyes Only might still be my favorite, but this one's very high up there as well. And so that's a review of Dr. No. Bye for now.